Alors, juste quelques mots, le temps que
And I
nos
just
amis
wanted
prennent
to
place.
say a few words while our presenters are coming up to the stage.
Toowoomba, c'est une ville
Toowoomba
dans le
is
Queensland en Australie.
a town in Australia, in
Personnellement, je faisais
Queensland.
partie de la délégation des ambassadeurs
Personally, I was
qui
part
était
of a delegation of
invitée
ambassadors,
pour visiter cette
which was invited
ville
to
de
visit
en
Toowoomba.
2017, en mars
This
2017.
took place in March
Nous étions
2017.
9 ambassadeurs. Et l'accueil
We
qui
were
nous
a
a
group
été
of ambassadors.
réservé nous marque à tout jamais.
And the way in which we were received
C'était
was
extraordinaire, exceptionnel.
exemplary and left a lasting impression on all of
Et
us.
c'est pour ça que, au retour
This is
de
why,
notre voyage,
after we returned from our
Toowoomba,
trip to Toowoomba,
nous avons décidé, avec les amis
together
ambassadeurs,
with our
de
friends,
créer
the ambassadors,
l'association
we
des amis de
decided
Master
to
Ching
found
Kong
the
ici à
association
l'UNESCO
of
pour pouvoir
Master Ching Kong's
justement
friends at UNESCO,
dupliquer,
with the
pratiquer
goal
cette
of
expérience
repeating this experience
de la communauté de Toowoomba
and replicating
un peu partout
the
dans le
experiences
monde
of
et
the
apporter
Toowoomba community all
ce
over the world,
message très fort
so that we could
que le
send
vivre
a strong
ensemble,
signal to the world,
vivre en
which is that
communauté
living together,
est
coexisting in our
réalisable
communities
et
is
praticable
feasible, it
et
can be
c'est
done,
possible. Maintenant,
and it
nous
is
avons
very much
l'occasion
possible.
d'écouter ceux qui
Next,
sont vraiment
we
sur
have
le
the
terrain,
opportunity to listen to those who are truly doing work on the ground and who will share their experiences with us.
la parole.
You
Merci
have the floor.
beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew Wielandt and I am your moderator for the session this morning. It gives our contingent immense pride and privilege to be representing our great city of Toowoomba in Queensland, Australia. Our group looks forward to sharing with you our journey of being a model city of peace and harmony, and we have travelled over 16,500 kilometres to share this journey with you. This morning you'll be hearing from my esteemed colleagues, Bishop Cameron Venables, Bishop Robert McGuckin, Lakshmi Gandu, Connie Q, Venerable Wu Chin, Sarwan Narayan, and finally, Mr. Haniff. We will be presenting on the topic of strategic priorities for developing social cohesion and harmony in culturally diverse communities, learning from the ongoing experiences in Toowoomba. And I'd now like to call upon Cameron.
Bonjour tout le monde. Amitofo. Honourable Ambassadors, conference participants, ladies and gentlemen, it's good to be together with you here in a time when many in our world would rather we stand apart. For we live in a time when political and religious difference in many countries is used to polarise thinking, diminish those perceived to be other, and justify many forms of violence. A time when foreign policy is often delivered by tweet, the value of dialogue is discounted, and fake news is affirmed as truth. It's good to be together in Paris this week, to listen and learn from each other. For though we speak different languages and come from different contexts, we recognise in each other a shared humanity. In our diversity, there are already life-giving synergies and collaborations, and at this conference there is the potential to discover and enable more. Further, I think in our diversity there is a much greater resource to better manage the major global issues of our time. Of these, I particularly affirm the increasing impacts of climate change and the unprecedented numbers of people who now live as refugees. Our delegation comes from the large continent and country called Australia, and I wonder what images come to your mind when you think about the country we call home. Those images probably include beautiful beaches, rainforests and deserts, kangaroos, koalas and crocodiles, mining, agriculture and tourism, people surfing great waves in the ocean, playing rugby in the World Cup, even as we speak, and riding horses in the outback. But in reality, these are just aspects of a greater whole. Our environments, flora, fauna and peoples are much more complex and diverse than these few I've just mentioned. 31 years ago, as Australia celebrated 200 years of European settlement, a census was taken. And this census identified that Australia was the culturally most diverse country in the world, the second most culturally diverse country in the world after Israel. Of course, since that time, through migration and refugee settlement, we have become more culturally and linguistically diverse, and we are immeasurably richer because of it. So Australians still say g'day, but we also offer welcome now in many other languages. In the year before the 1988 census, an Australian composer called Bruce Woodley wrote a song that in some ways has become one of the unofficial anthems of Australia. The lyrics of the refrain affirm, "We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We'll share a dream and sing with one voice, I am, you are, we are Australian." So in small gatherings and large music festivals, in schools and at sporting events, we sing these words. We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We'll share a dream and sing with one voice, I am, you are, we are Australian. And yet alongside these beautiful words, there is evidence of racism and xenophobia in some of our political discourse, in our policies and in our media reporting. So in many ways, this is an aspirational song, a dream we are still discovering and a society we continue to create. We aspire to be a society which welcomes cultural and linguistic diversity, and we continue to work to create communities in which all people can flourish. We think that Toowoomba, the city we come from, has been committed for many years now to flourishing as a culturally diverse community. So as we look back at this ongoing project, we hope to share in our presentation some of the strategically important things that help to enable ongoing cultural harmony in Toowoomba. I think there are a number of foundational elements in developing and maintaining harmony. And the first of these is a clearly articulated vision. This does not involve the minutiae of how things operate, but it states very clearly the belief that harmony is possible, that somehow in our diversity we are better together. We do not pretend that this is an easy vision for people to accept, but we do believe it is extraordinarily life-giving. Among the many challenges, it suggests that we learn from and respect each other, and that each person has something of value to bring to the life of our community. In an ideal world, this means that faith leaders do not try and convert people of other faiths, and political leaders do not ridicule those who think differently to them through adversarial debate. How do we listen to each other better, such that we develop understanding? And how do we build and nurture relationships between diverse cultural groups, faith communities, and generations? But it's not enough to have a vision well expressed in all forms of media. In our experience, there is need for the vision to be promoted by sponsors. people and organisations who make it a priority to repeatedly present the vision and work with others to see how that vision can be realised in the complex, interrelated layers of our community's life. In the context of federal, state and local government leadership, in the context of business, community service and healthcare, in the context of school, university and faith communities. We are fortunate in Toowoomba that the Pure Land Learning College Association has been one of the main sponsors in promoting the vision that harmony is possible and that we are better together. They came to Toowoomba 18 years ago and 9 years ago established an office with 2 full-time staff to promote harmony in Toowoomba. And I'm thankful that Mr Haniff and Mei Ling are both with us today. The Toowoomba Regional Council has also invested in a multicultural development officer so that the vision of multicultural flourishing and harmony is clearly supported and sponsored by our local government. A third foundational element to add to vision and sponsorship is the recognition that this work is an ongoing project and requires sustained commitment. Sometimes our short electoral cycles in politics do not serve us well because the goals inevitably focus on what is possible in a 3 or 4 year term. Multicultural harmony is not a goal to be completed, but is an ongoing project that involves all of us. New people come to our community in Toowoomba from all over the world and need to be welcomed. Some people come with a very different vision and experience of culturally diverse communities. Some expect and even desire a divided community because that is all they've ever known, or that is all they can imagine. The project is ongoing and the work is ours and yours. In our presentation, we hope to offer you something of our experience and hope there is something of value. And we give thanks for this opportunity to learn from you in this time together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cameron. And I promise I won't sing because Cameron can sing a lot better than I can. Please give Cameron another round of applause. As some of you have heard previously here at UNESCO, through the facilitation and mentorship of Pure Land Learning College, our city has been working on implementing and refining our model of peace and harmony since the mid-2000s. Part of that implementation has been the establishment of the Goodwill Committee in 2012, of which I'm a member. This committee is a cross-representation of a number of areas across our community and is ably chaired by Queensland Police Sergeant Scott McGrath, who a number of you would remember from his previous visits here at UNESCO. The areas of expertise from the community that is covered by the committee includes community, religion, business and youth, but to name a few. And these members of the committee are members of the community who give freely of their time to provide advice and to formulate strategy as to how best we can continue to improve the Toowoomba model of peace and harmony. Secretariat support is provided by Pure Land Learning College, and the committee continues to be indebted to the tireless work of both Haniff and also Mei Ling. The committee itself works on 3 guiding principles to be promoted and to refine the model city of peace and harmony message. And these principles are collaboration, education and social interaction. In the committee's work through collaboration, the committee strives to reach out and work with community stakeholders, including business, education and religious groups in our community. And with the networks that the committee members bring to our group, we're able to start conversations, find common ground around goals and objectives, and to work collaboratively to achieve these goals. As an example, the Goodwill Committee is working with an organisation committed to ending the blight of domestic violence in our community. And this organisation is called Toowoomba Together. We share common goals around Toowoomba being a peaceful and harmonious place, and as such is an ideal partner for us to achieve our goals. Some of you may have previously been here, have witnessed the presentation of Darling Heights Principal Mr Mark Creedon and the work that he's been doing with students who come from over 60 plus countries in his school community. It is such a powerful message to send to all in the community around living in peaceful cohabitation, and the work that he is doing is profound. So much so that when a number of UNESCO ambassadors visited Toowoomba in 2017, their feedback after seeing the work at Darling Heights was, "You are doing exactly what we are talking about in Paris." As we all know and have heard from previous conferences here at UNESCO, education is a core principle of building peaceful and harmonious communities. And that is why the Goodwill Committee places so much emphasis on working with primary, secondary and tertiary educations to achieve this goal. The Goodwill Committee, in concert with Wielandt Learning College, has also made a priority of working actively towards social integration, in particular engagement with community stakeholders in religious and community groups. Aside from the strong engagement referenced earlier in my message around collaboration, the Goodwill Committee has also made a point to actively seek out and works with groups representing a broad cross-section of the community from both a social and also economic perspective. The Goodwill Committee is also engaged with other activities including stalls at local events, facilitating women's forum events, hosting Goodwill community tea gatherings regularly through the city, and presenting community dialogue and development workshops. With these examples given, the Goodwill Committee has contributed to a number of successes in our community. But it is also important to recognise that there are a number of challenges that still lay not only before us as a committee, but indeed the whole community. As an example of the work the Goodwill Committee has done in conjunction with other community groups is White Ribbon Day. This is a day in which the community, in particular men, come together at a morning breakfast at a local Toowoomba park. At this breakfast, the Mayor, along with other community leaders, pledged never to perpetrate acts of violence towards women. One of the images in my presentation is a recent White Ribbon Day where over 1,000 men collectively formed a ribbon symbol and undertook the White Ribbon Pledge, thereby sending the message that domestic violence is never acceptable now or ever. And in a similar vein, the Goodwill Committee is working with the previously mentioned Toowoomba Together, a local group whose sole aim is to stand up against domestic violence. And given the Goodwill Committee's desire to have Toowoomba as a model city of peace and harmony, the invidious nature of domestic violence must end, and the Goodwill Committee is proud to stand with Toowoomba Together in this regard. However, despite all the good work the community is doing towards refining the model, we continue to face challenges which we can and will undertake if we, as the community, make it a priority to work as a cohesive group with various stakeholders. One example is the extreme right-wing group United Patriots Front. This group has stirred a lot of community anguish and concern around the building of a mosque in another part of Australia. Focusing on the community concern around a very small number of radical elements in the community, the UFP tried to establish a presence in Toowoomba a few years ago to replicate its previous actions in another city. Fortunately, however, this has not been successful given the efforts of the local police working with the media and other community groups like the Goodwill Committee to ensure messages of hate are given little credence in the media or the community. And due to the lack of public interest, the UFP has failed to gain traction in our community and indeed has left our town. Another area of concern was past burning down of a mosque in Toowoomba. And whilst no one has ever been charged or prosecuted for this vile act, it has not stopped the local Islamic community from drawing up plans for a larger mosque to replace the destroyed place of worship. In consultation with local government, the new mosque is now open, bigger and better than previously. And the act of destruction has not only brought the local Islamic community together, but indeed the broader community indeed. So as you've heard, that whilst our city has achieved a lot in moving towards being a model city of peace and harmony, it has not just happened. It is through good luck or fortune. Rather, it has been a diverse range of community members working with Pure Land Learning College who has acted like glue, bringing this diverse group together to achieve great things, not only for our city, but indeed our country. By engaging and bringing along community stakeholders on our journey, we are proud of the good work and the community benefits it brings. Thank you for allowing me to briefly share the work of the Goodwill Committee in Toowoomba and working towards a model city of peace and harmony. I now welcome Bishop Robert to the lectern. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, bonjour. There's even diversity on some of us can't sing and some can sing. Some are quite tall and others wear average height. But it's wonderful to be here with you today. Having grown up in Sydney, Australia after the Second World War, I saw rapid changes in the cultural makeup of the population within Australia. Apart from the Indigenous, it might have been seen as an Irish-English, fairly bland mix. But that changed very rapidly after the war with immigration coming into the country. And indeed, some people found this difficult to see the changes. And I think it might have caused what might be said to be a fear of the unknown. And it often is the fear of the unknown which traps us. How fortunate I was that we had in the 50s Greek neighbours move in next door to us, to my family, and just from friendly meeting, our relationships developed. We came to know one another very well, and they became part of our family, and we became part of their family. And that fear of the unknown indeed vanished immediately. Within Toowoomba, it's obvious that shared activities develop relationships between individuals and groups. We have the Toowoomba Interchurch Working Group, and it's made up of a number of groups there. Bishop Cameron's at the end there. We have Aboriginal spirituality, the Baha'i faith, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism and Sikhism. And we are diverse, but we come together. I'd like to give a couple of examples of how this might work in a couple of settings. Firstly, within a hospital setting, and we have a fairly large Toowoomba-based hospital. And within that hospital, there is a dedicated pastoral care coordinator, and they have a small team of chaplains. Spiritual care, then, is offered in a multi-faith community for the sick, for the dying, for their loved ones, and also for the staff of these hospitals and institutions who care for them. And pastoral care is available on a 24/7 basis to respond to the needs of each individual. Spiritual care is important, recognises and responds to the needs of the human spirit when faced with trauma, grief, ill health or sadness. And spiritual care of another creates a space through the presence to listen to the story, to reflect on the feelings, the experience, and invites reflection that seeks meaning. Faith support can follow, perhaps with rites, with prayers, sacraments, and the various rituals. In one of these examples, within the Toowoomba Hospital, a Muslim man was in hospital, he was dying. The medical staff then contact the pastoral care worker in the hospital, who then contacts the local imam who comes to visit, gives support to the man who is sick and dying, gives support to the family, and also to the hospital staff. So carers within our Toowoomba hospital are available on a 24-hour basis, 7 days a week, to facilitate for people of all faiths to have their faith leaders contacted when the need arises. There is a place of prayer in the hospital also for all people from all faiths that can come together in a time of prayer. This relationship also works in aged care facilities, and there are a number of aged care facilities within Toowoomba. And to assure that each person has spiritual care, coordinators in these places work together to make contact with someone from the individual person's faith so that they might come and intend and to offer particular faith healing and sharing with those people. And the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group coordinates this and assists when that's needed. We have a number of gatherings through the year. We have a World Day of the Sick, which is very much a Catholic occasion, which has been embraced by the other Christian bodies. And we come together, all the workers throughout the various establishments that we have, pray for each other, see that we have people who then go out into their own individual establishments and are able then to assist. It's a wonderful occasion where we not only talk about things, but we actually together work together. When we all stand together, one of our pastoral care workers wrote recently, when we all stand together, the light of our care shines brightest. It happens when the hospital staff from the various departments, the pastoral carers, work together to attend to each patient holistically. This is how the light of hope manifests in a healthcare setting. The spirit of hope is evident every morning in the pastoral care rooms. Team members from the various faith traditions come together and they greet each other, but there also is that opportunity for them to spend some time in prayer. Greater understanding and acceptance is being nurtured through relationships between the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group and the Toowoomba and Region's carers in hospitals and aged care facilities. From time to time, we've heard about Wielandt. They indeed have facilitated bringing together and educating and building bridges, sharing, working together to try and bring about realistically this model city of peace and of harmony. I think I recognise the person in the photograph there too, but it was one of the gatherings that the Pure Land put together, Peace Education Forum. And indeed it involves just not religious leaders but also the civil society there. That's the former Queensland Police Commissioner. So it tries to engage the whole community as we indeed endeavour to work together. The whole day was spent recently exploring spiritual care for people of different faith tradition. We share the particular unique and different views that we might have, and there's very much a constructive and inspiring dialogue. We've heard this word these last 3 days. Dialogue certainly grows from our shared vision to care for those vulnerable in our community. Given the growing numbers of refugees who continue to come into our Toowoomba community, along with the growing numbers of people from other faiths, we must continue to invest in deepening our mutual respect and indeed appreciation for the beliefs and practice of others. We have started, but I think we fool ourselves if we say we're completely there. It's a continuing effort we must all make. Leaders then meet regularly and share ideas together. And indeed, earlier in the year, Bishop Cameron and myself and some of the group were able to come and meet with Master Kung Ching, and indeed we were able to engage in dialogue there. We Pure Land and our relationships really is a gift to the whole community of Toowoomba, and nobody is excluded from this. And we have indeed gatherings, and Pure Land assists with that. We have a Christmas gathering, and indeed, along with education and promotions, relationship building is another aim for nurturing a vision where the general community benefits. Yes, we admit there is a way to go, when new arrivals are not just seen as a threat, but are viewed as persons with intrinsic value and dignity. And indeed, we must continue to do that, to not isolate people, but rather respect and receive people. As new and old are invited to gatherings, small but important steps are being made. It involves spending time with and being with each other. These steps have to continually be made, and it becomes somewhat of a two-way street. You know, we might reach out to the new arrivals, and it becomes reciprocal, that they invite us to be involved with them. They see that solidarity, that they are accepted, that we value each other. In such a welcoming and open environment, we witness friendships and relationships beginning to blossom. It is then that we see that the fear of the unknown vanishes on both sides. When this happens, the community itself is transformed and we all become the beneficiaries. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Bishop Robert. I'd now call upon Lakshmi.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lakshmi and I am 16 years old. Today I am joined by Connie and we are honoured to represent the youth of our region. We are a couple of representative members of the Toowoomba Youth Peace Group, abbreviated as Type G, the youth wing of the Toowoomba Goodwill Committee. On behalf of Type G, we will be presenting on developing social cohesion and harmony in culturally diverse communities through the priority of engaging with and empowering the leadership of young people. Our group was formed early in 2018 and is made up of young people studying in high school or university and from different walks of life. We first met at a youth plenary session about the culture of a shared future, a youth perspective, in March last year, during a national Interfaith Peace Conference. Conversation was then stirred by the lovely Mei Ling, who suggested we come together as a group, since we shared a similar hope for harmony among all people. So we had our first meeting on the 24th of March 2018, and we have had a meeting every month since. Our aim is to facilitate and promote peace projects in our hometown of Toowoomba. During our time together, we have participated in many community events, including World Environment Day, Toowoomba Languages and Cultures Festival, Police Multi-Faith Dinners, an international interfaith forum in New Zealand, and several multi-faith conferences and dialogues. Our focuses have changed from a wide focus on spreading peace to this year's theme of how young individuals and youth groups in Toowoomba see their roles in cultivating peace in their community. Today, we will be sharing our encounters with leadership and youth, particularly in our community. We will also discuss what we have done practically through our group, social media, and events we've organised, as well as our future goals and aspirations. Connie will be elaborating on these points. I shall begin with my journey, how I came upon this path, my passion, and why I so enjoy being a part of Type G. My family and I have always been involved in endeavours for spiritual development, and I have always been exposed to passionate people who are interested in self-improvement and evolution. As a family, we are always discovering ways to better ourselves and our environment through little actions, such as composting to reduce our waste, supporting local organic markets, and doing community heartfulness meditation sessions. So when I attended the National Interfaith Peace Conference with my family in March last year, I was lucky enough to listen to some very inspirational young people who shared similar values, attitudes, and beliefs as myself. It was due to these people that I was inspired into action. They presented me with an opportunity to create a difference. So as already mentioned, soon after the conference, our group was established. My initial intentions for joining were mainly for developing peace and harmony in our community and youth empowerment, but also as a chance to better myself on a personal level. I figured if I could surround myself with good people, I would be able to become a better person also. But through this journey, not only have I been able to develop my character, I have also been able to gain practical life skills. These skills include organisation, time management, and public speaking. I have also been able to improve my positive social interactions, technological skills, and I would like to think I have become a better conversationalist. But apart from the myriad of skills gained, we've been able to take part in many opportunities as well. For example, several members of our group, including Connie and I, have participated in doing a radio session on identity and diversity living together in Australia. This was beneficial as we were able to gain experience in articulating our views and spread the word about our experiences and what we've learnt as individuals. The topic of identity and diversity made me question what identity and diversity meant to me as a young person. I have to admit it was a bit of a struggle personally, but it was a good exercise to explore myself in the perspective of someone else. Because what's the point of knowing yourself but not being able to articulate it for someone else to understand? And that's the key I discovered: understanding and acceptance. More specifically, self-realization and acceptance of others. We as young people have fresh eyes. We have hope and idealistic views. We have enthusiasm and energy, a lust for life when nurtured in the right environment. However, we are easily influenced because of this time in our lives, which is so crucial in shaping our character, our individual worldview. Youth are about action and revolution. Youth are inspired and empowered by youth, but this can only occur with the support of adults. I am grateful for the people in my life, my parents, teachers, and influencers, for all the opportunities I can take part in at my young age. With the priority of engaging and empowering the leadership of the youth, it is important to realise the significant roles young people play in the fate of the world. As stated by Franklin D. Roosevelt, we cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future. Thank you. Next is Connie, who will be speaking about how we spread the word about peace in our community. Thank you.
To start off, I want to share a small quote with you all. 千里之行，始于足下，孔老夫子。A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Confucius. Bonjour, monsieur et madame. My name is Connie Q, 16 years old, and I am a member of the Toowoomba Youth Peace Group, Type G. I am very honored and privileged to be in your presence today to share my personal experiences and the wonderful things that Type G contributes to back in my home country. I myself am a person who comes from two cultures, and I practice Buddhism. As a proud Chinese Australian, I have gained knowledge from both cultures, being fluent in 3 languages and having a deep understanding of both ethnic communities. All of this makes up a part of my identity, and my identity is what led me to the fateful encounter when I first met the rest of the members of our group. Although I do sometimes wonder, how did I, in the first place, become interested and motivated to be in this youth group, doing the things we do now? I don't know. That was the first answer I came up with. There were many variables when I first thought about this question. Maybe it was just me being a pushover. Honestly, I knew that the variables weren't it. And during the 2 years I have journeyed with this group, I have realized how important it means to me and to the society we live in. Although I can't really say that we have gone through highs and lows together, because we really haven't got lows. But even without challenges, I found that each and every one of us in the group are very unique and all have our own ideas and beliefs. And I guess that's why we have Type G, which is to share our ideas and beliefs and take action for the better of our community. Therefore, today we are going to give an insight into what we do for our community and for our future. And I will be introducing our social media and one of our previous projects from 2018, the Peace Art Competition. Type G's social media is a way of how we communicate and share our experiences with the community in Toowoomba and Australia. Through our Instagram page, Facebook page, and website, Type G has been connecting with the youth in society, and one of our goals of forming social media pages is also to motivate the young people as well. Although we do not have many views on our social media pages, we are trying our best and we continue to spread the positivity and love to each and every single person who comes across us. As I mentioned earlier, 1,000 miles begins with a single step. As the next generation of young adults, I think a part of our responsibility as Type G is to make sure we take the first step in things like this to then further motivate the youth of our society. And because our motto and goal as Type G is to take the first step to peace, it makes more sense for us to lead the youth of this generation to a more united and harmonious future. As an initiative of our group, one of the projects that we held last year in October 2018, in conjunction with our youth conference, was a peace art competition. It was based off of the idea that people from the community around us, no matter what age or gender, would be able to produce a piece of artwork which portrayed the ideas and thoughts about what peace meant to them. Overall, it was very successful, and we received up to 50 artworks for this competition, which all of them were displayed at our 2018 youth conference for exhibition and the final judging of winners. The winners were then shortlisted were chosen by participants of the conference, and prizes were given out later after the event. We were really thankful for all the people who supported us throughout this event, and we are grateful for the experiences. Throughout the 2 years I have been with Type G, I have realized that the experiences I have gained really brought a huge change in my decisions and everyday life. I found out that I am very passionate about the change in society and the huge significance youths play in our community and the world today. Quoting Albert Einstein, "Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. Through understanding, acceptance, and harmony, only then can we achieve appreciation of the word peace and bask in its results of calm and tranquility." Martha, one of our members in Type G, said, "The youth I believe in can have as much power and influence as other members of society. We must acknowledge the youth of our communities as a part of today's society. We must acknowledge the youth of our communities as a part of today's society and not just tomorrow leaders. What we need to keep in mind is while the youth are the future, we must also remember that they shape our today as well. Here in Australia, we have a diverse and multicultural society, and it is so important to live in harmony in our communities. One of the main reasons why we have Type G today is because of this harmony and diversity. In 2018, one of the projects that brought us together was the Youth Peace Conference. Our group came together to brainstorm and plan for the conference, and the final theme for the day was what we influence versus what influences us. The purpose of holding this event was to give young people a chance to learn and a platform to connect, sharing their thoughts and ideas about peace. The day was very successful, with many engaged youths getting involved, fun activities, and many inspirational speakers. In our first meeting at the start of this year, we discussed about the benefits of having mentors who can support us with advice and resources. Sergeant Scott McGrath, who was the chair of the Goodwill Committee, was our first mentor who assisted us at the World Environment Day. Rebecca Schroeder from Toowoomba Regional Council Youth Connect was our second mentor, and during her mentorship, she listened to the group's idea of presenting a youth networking project for Toowoomba's youth leaders. Supported by the Toowoomba Regional Council Youth Connect, the youth networking took place last Tuesday on the 1st of October. The main idea of this day was to give an opportunity for the young leaders of the community to connect and share. While there were projects that our group initiated for the Toowoomba youth, we needed one where we can learn from these young leaders who ultimately are working towards the same vision and better community for our young people. On the day, we had around 20 youth leaders coming together from the Toowoomba Regional Council, Toowoomba Youth Peace Group, Emerge, and Humage Church. During the day, all groups travelled around Toowoomba to visit the various workspaces of each individual group as they introduced what they do. The goal of this youth networking project was to provide an opportunity for local young youth groups to get together and to share and learn what each group were involved in. We got to know each other and discussed future plans for collaboration and support for future events and programs. It was a very successful day, and we believe that many of us were inspired by their involvement in the community. We as youth have great ideas and visions, but we need a direction for a successful change. Everything we do highlights the importance and priority of engaging with and empowering the leadership of young people. Society must give a platform for the young leaders to learn and to share what we have got and the resources we have. Empowering the youth by creating supporting platforms like what we are doing in Toowoomba is what I believe is the key to youth engagement and development. Talking is the beginning of change, and action is the change. Only by working together in unity can we make a bigger difference. Thank you.
Well, I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, you'd agree that the future of Toowoomba is very strong with the likes of Lakshmi and Connie. Please join me in congratulating them on this speech. Sarwan, would you like to come and join me? Our microphone's... I think it's Sarwan's next. No? Wuchin? Sorry. My apologies. Wuchin.
Distinguished Excellencies, Teacher Venerable Master Chin Kong, Venerables, friends who have traveled far to be here, and friends from the local community here in France, our warmest greetings to all of you. Amitofo. This morning, I would like to share this topic, the priority of identifying common ground, the Charter for Compassion. People of different nationalities migrate from their home countries and choose to live in a multicultural environment today due to various factors such as political stability, better job opportunities, climate change, safety, and peace. Whenever a newcomer arrives into a community, he or she will need to learn to harmonize and live peacefully with the community. Similarly, the community also needs to learn to accept the newcomers. In other words, there is a sense of priority to identify common ground. Just like an ecosystem, when new species are being introduced into it, a balance needs to be achieved. If a common ground is not established between people, disharmony and problems can arise. Take, for example, we are a Buddhist organization consisting of Asians coming from various countries in Asia and the United States of America. The president of our organization is Venerable Master Ching Kong. Our organization is Pure Land Learning College Association, and we are based in the Toowoomba city of Queensland, Australia since 2001. When we first arrived, we are a minority race in the Toowoomba city. Majority consists mainly of Anglo-Saxon Australians following Christian beliefs. To connect with the local community, we started the Friendship Dinner to offer free vegetarian buffet to local community and welcome them to come to learn more about us and to know why we are here. During the dinner, we would hold discussion sessions on a different topic and encourage attendees to share their views and experiences, and this gives everyone a chance to get to know each other over dinner and to also understand different cultures and beliefs. The local community enjoyed such gatherings, and as a result, this event brings more people to come to get to know each other. So the Friendship Dinner has been held every Saturday since 2002. In addition, we also hold Christmas celebrations and Lunar New Year party to involve the local community. Our association also makes a contribution every year to support the work of the local hospital and hospice. We feel that both the hospital and hospice are doing important work to save people's lives, and so we share some of our association's resources towards benefiting the local community. As the Buddha once said, all beings wish for happiness, so extend your compassion to all. A generous heart, kind speech, and a life of service and compassion are the things which renew humanity. Before concluding, I would like to share a short story on compassion. Once, there was a little novice monk who studied Buddhism with a very wise teacher. He was a very good student. He was respectful, sincere, and obedient, and he learned very quickly. The teacher was so wise, he could foretell the future. The teacher knew that from the beginning that his little student could not live very long. One day he counted and he realized that this little student had only 7 days left to live. He felt sad. The teacher called the little monk to him. He said, "You haven't seen your mother for a long time. I think you need a vacation. Run on home and visit your mother and come back 8 days later from now." He did this so that at least the student could die in his parents' home. When the little novice monk left, the teacher was very sorry. He thought he could never see his young student again. 8 days later, who would show up but the little novice monk? His teacher was delighted, but he was also puzzled because the little student looked wonderful. He didn't look like someone who was about to die. Finally, the teacher decided to find out what had happened. He told the boy, Son, I have foretold the future many times, and I have never been wrong. I sent you home because you were doomed to die within 7 days. But the 7 days have passed. Not only are you still alive, but you look great. The image of death has left you. How did you do it? The student was shocked. He didn't have any idea how to answer his teacher. So the teacher entered the settled state of meditation, and before long, he understood. Son, on the way home, did you save some ants? Yes, teacher. On the way home, I saw a whole bunch of ants trapped by some water. They were about to drown, so I got a piece of wood and rescued them. That's it then. Your kind heart has earned you long life. The wise men of old said, saving one life earns more merit than building a pagoda of 7 stories. You have saved hundreds of lives, so you will live a very long time now. You have earned a good future, but you still have to keep working to save living creatures. You must spread the message of the Buddha, teach all people to be merciful, tell everyone not to kill living creatures, and let animals live in peace. The little novice monk never forgot his teacher's words. He worked very hard and became a great monk, and he lived for a long, long time. This short story demonstrates that compassion can be found in human hearts, and it can be extended to all life forms. Finally, I would like to conclude my talk with a quote from the late President Nelson Mandela. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Thank you very much. Amitofo.
Thank you very much, Wu Chin. Now I'd like to call upon Sarwan. Sarwan, you and I will be standing up here together.
So, just a short introduction for Sarwan. So Sarwan is an Indo-Fijian, an Indian by origin and born and bred in Fiji. She's a Hindu by faith and migrated to Australia 30 years ago with her family. She's passionate about various religions and faiths and the role they play in activating social cohesion and social harmony in the world. You've been involved with Pure Land for 7 years and have been a member of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group for 4 years. So we're just going to have a short dialogue together. So my first question for you, Sarwan, do you think education is important in facilitating the vision of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, and if so, how?
Good morning. I guess I have to get straight into this question and answer, because we have to show you that we don't only say there will be dialogue or we have dialogue, we actually do dialogue. So just say Amitofo, Namaste. Yes, Andrew, I'm very happy to answer your first question, which is education important? We have spent the last 2 days or 2.5 days now to hear and accept how important education is. For us, may I say, that education is important not only in imparting knowledge, but also to impart skills, experiences, values, and attitudes, which we have been calling ethics, that are very important for social, economic, and political development of any country and its people. And what I want to say a bit more, Andrew, is that all participants here already know, as we have witnessed, and they are all educators and learners in one way or another. So I'm not saying anything new, except that we are all aware that our role, and this role of education, is well articulated in sustainable development globally, seeking to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education for all.
That's great. Thanks, Sarwan. How do you actually go about promoting your vision? What medium do you use to do that?
Thank you. May I say that we started in a very small way. When I came out here, I learned a little bit about Cardiff in Wales, and Venerable Sir, Cardiff is well ahead of us. France is doing well. Singapore is miles ahead. We are only starting, aren't we? But may I say that we started in a small way, and we have adopted a very humble approach to spread ourselves, because I am afraid we don't want our wings clipped before we fly. So with that, on that note, as a member of Interfaith, Toowoomba Interfaith Group, Andrew, may I say I'm very happy to take all participants here on this journey to show how we are doing, what we are doing in terms of promoting our vision, utilizing the resources which is here, the 360 booklet. You've all seen it. I understand you know about it already. These booklets are very important. We are using this, and we are also using the media in our little Toowoomba community. The media has been very kind to us, and they have given us time. And we are using symposiums like what we are doing here, the conferences, national and international. But before I move on, Andrew, please give me a bit of time. I wish to explain how we do this. Very quickly, I want to say what 360 scriptures are all about. These scriptures, as you've seen it here, and all, it's written in 10 different faiths. We all remember? It started with A, B, C. The first one will be, started with B is Baha'i faith that I remember. Then there is Buddhist, then Christianity, and goes on to Hinduism, Sikhism, you name it, we've got it. So, it's very important book, this one, may I say. Those of you who have seen it and read it, you'll know. I just want to talk about mine. May I stand up and talk? It's a bit difficult to talk while I'm sitting. These ones, the first quotation in this book is the International Prayer of World Peace. International Prayer of World Peace, written in Sanskrit and translated in English. What more can we ask for? What more can we ask for? It's very important. So what I want to say, Andrew, I'm sorry, I'm with you. Please don't leave me.
I'm not going anywhere. You're doing a great job. Keep going.
So what I want to say is, in this booklet, it's a handy pocket-sized book designed for us to freely share our knowledge and experiences of our own culture, religion, and tradition with others. And it includes knowledge of moral ethics and virtues of our own scriptures. Very important. Very, very important. And this booklet has been initiated by none other than Honorable Master Ching Kung himself. And those of you who have been to Toowoomba in 2017, I think, would have witnessed that Master launched this booklet himself in Toowoomba. And his purpose, very important line, I must say, is that the scripture is designed to promote the growth of essentials of all religions and faiths. And in doing so, it promotes careful promulgation, which is that we are being always careful of our speech in praising our own and criticizing others. In fact, Master does not want us to criticize anybody, and none of us will want to do that. But time and again, we hear people swearing very subtly that mine is the way to the kingdom. So we have to be careful of that sort of thing. In this booklet, that is the important line I gathered from here. Next thing we do, Andrew sir, is we use the media, as I say. The media we have engaged in is the ABC radio program and FM 102.7, which is a channel called Voices of Faith. It is a community program, and here each of our members have had the privilege of going to the radio and discussing the topics of their choice in terms of their perspective of the concerns that we have. So if we have a concern on domestic violence, I could go there and say, what does my religion or my culture say about domestic violence? My perspective. And Christianity can do that, Baha'i can do that, Sorism can do that, everybody is welcome to do that. So whatever concern we have in terms of community issues, we are able to use the radio, and they have very kindly given us the time. How did they give us the time? May I say, Pure Land Learning College has bought 1 hour every week on the radio for FM 102.7. So it is due to Pure Land Learning College that we are able to do this project. So we all have to use that program. So that is our second medium, Andrew sir. And the third one is interfaith conferences, national and international, as you've seen. So in this conference, very much like what you've done here, Secretary General, where is he? Very much like yourself, we have invited people from local areas, different parts of Australia, and international like Singapore, Malaysia, France, US. Last year we had people from there who come and give us the talk on the issue and the subject that concerns us at that point in time. So while they did that, we all benefit very much because conferences like this are more engaging. We've had so many speakers, all the Venerables speaking here, giving us the first-hand word of Master Ching Kung. We learn from you so much. So we take that and we spread it around in our own community, in our own little way, in whichever way we can. Right? You agree? Thank you. Okay, so that is the way, that is the three mediums we use. Andrew, thank you.
Sarwan, you're doing such a great job. My last question for you, what is one important point from the Toowoomba experience that you think everyone here today could take away with them? If you could think of one thing that what we're doing that you could share with the audience, what would that be?
Aha, he put me in the spot, didn't he?
One thing.
That is a very challenging question. I'll do my best now. I think what I have gathered from everybody here is that any social change does not take place overnight. True? Okay. It does not take overnight, does not mean we can sit back and say, okay, let's forget it. We cannot. The point we have to take home is that we have to persevere, pray and hope that one day we will all come together regardless of our color, creed, size, whatever, and be able to work together with love and respect. Agree, Andrew? Absolutely. Thank you. Oh, sorry. I forgot to mention to you that that booklet has been put up all together in one book. All the faiths are in one book and translated into French. So please, there is no running away from here. We can all take a piece of it. Thank you.
Sarwan, thank you very much for that entertaining presentation. I'd like to finally call upon Mr Haniff to conclude the Toowoomba presentation. Mr Haniff, ladies and gentlemen.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious and most merciful. And there are two things that I learned, but before that I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our excellencies, distinguished guests, our Dhamma brothers, ladies and gentlemen. There are two things that I learned in my life. That first, my father taught me always to be grateful, to be thankful for the people around you who help you, and learn to respect others. And I think for that, I always thank God for giving me this opportunity in my work, guiding me. I'm a Muslim. But as you know, I am the only Muslim in Pure Land Learning College because I serve with the Pure Land Learning College. So I think that's where I am most blessed to be given this opportunity, the confidence of the Venerable Master Cheng Kung. As I say, I'm also blessed. I have not told you the other side of what I learned from my experience. Now, I'm also blessed, like I said, besides to have two eminent teachers in the like of the Venerable Master Cheng Kung, whom I came to know in the year 2006 and subsequently traveled with him and stayed in Toowoomba with him. And the other one is Imam Habib Hassan. I think the son presented the papers just now. And talk about Imam Habib Hassan and Madhu, affectionately known as Madhu, his name, he mentioned about Nasi Lemak. Now, I will tell you the story about Nasi Lemak because that puts not actually a phobia but a reflection of what happens. This is where I learned. First, when I have to speak, I never, not say that I don't encourage anybody to give me the script. I'll do myself. I'll do it myself. I'll tell you why. Because in the year 2008, in the presence of the Venerable Master Cheng Kung and a wide group of guests, so Imam Habib Hassan was supposed to deliver the address. So he came with a piece of paper which is folded. He told me, Haniff, I'm not well. I can't deliver this address. This is a piece of paper, but don't open it until you go to the podium and read out. So, being my teacher, so I certainly feel an honored. I said, yes, Habib, I'll do it. So he gave me a piece of paper. Obediently, I didn't open the paper, so I went to the podium, I opened the paper, Nasi Lemak. That was all rewritten. Nasi Lemak, he said, talk about Nasi Lemak. So I had to keep my cool, though I was actually very nervous. What do I say about Nasi Lemak? So I used that. So that's what I said. I always carry my own paper. I don't allow people to give me a paper to read. But eventually I did make it. No, so coming back to that little sharing that I have with you. Now, as I said, we also wish, the Toowoomba group here, wish to acknowledge the generosity, the kindness and sincerity of the Master to give us this opportunity to be here, to give us the opportunity to create the Multi-Faith and Multicultural Center. And also I deeply acknowledge the Master for giving me that confidence. And also, I must acknowledge my assistant, that it's Mei Ling. Mei Ling, please stand up. Who has been with me through and through, taking a lot of more of my dislikes than my likes. But I think she is one of the examples of a person who is very deeply passionate about community work. Now in Toowoomba, if you noted, the representation of our delegates resonate very well with our tagline, everyone matters. If you look from the religious leaders to the young people to community leaders, because that's what we believe in. You have to practice in what you believe in. It's just that I journey with the Master because I believe in what he believes in. Otherwise, I would not journey with him. So this is the representation of the Toowoomba. It's a testimony of our commitment. Everyone matters. Now, and if you look at the work of community work in promoting social cohesion, in bringing about greater social trust, you can have all the plans, you can have all the beautiful strategic roadmap. It must be translated quite rightly. I think some of the ambassadors mentioned yesterday, into action. So what you have seen here is generally all our programs, our activities, the work is all owned by the community. It's not owned by, say, Pure Land. Pure Land is just the secretariat. It's the community owned. We believe, we subscribe to these principles of community ownership, empowerment, which is what we empower them, and also we subscribe to that tagline of everyone matters, because you need to work with those whether they have faith or no faith, because that has to be driven by everyone. Because if you leave one segment of the population out, then I think you may encounter difficulties as your work goes into progress, as you journey on. So now what I'm going to share with you is, as I said, you put all that into actions. So in a very humble way, in a quick summary, I'll just share with you some of the things that what the community has done. This is only a cross-representation. There are many more out there in Toowoomba. Now, these are things that has been done. Things like we have organized 57 peace conference, both locally and internationally, 25 workshops ranging from conflict resolution, developing community initiatives. We have also organized community lunches, tea gatherings, networking with stakeholders through all this session, festival gatherings. We celebrate all the festivals. It doesn't matter, not only Christmas, we celebrate Deepawali, we celebrate Hari Raya, we celebrate Chinese New Year, because that's the community spirit. Because festival, as quite rightly mentioned, I think, if I can remember, Dr. Fauzi spoke yesterday, is a connector that can bring people together. And of course, we have to date much of their effort, most of them. That we have already up to today about 414 series of our talk shows. And you can go back to any of these series when you go into our website, because all the past series are all loaded up into the website. We have community events, and we have what we call that Saturday's Friendship Dinner, which has been on from the year 2002. Every Saturday we have a community lunches, community gathering, where people from their community come down, have a meal, sit down, talk about their stories. Up to now, it's non-stop, without any break, every Saturday. All right, and I think that has brought along a lot of good things because it's evident by the relationship, because we get to know, some of us get to know through friendship dinner, and some of them actually got married through friendship dinner. They met the men and met the women, and they got married. So I think that's a good indication that brings people together. Now, how do we're not going to, it's work in progress, because we believe that you can't remain stagnant. You need to plan what's the next lap, what's the next 2-3 years, the 5 years, what has to go down, because this work about community cohesion, this work about peace and harmony, you cannot assume. You cannot assume that everything is okay in 2019, will be all right in 2020. No, you never assume. You have to ensure. I think that's the principle that we work on. We ensure that what Toowoomba is enjoying today, we hope it will continue for the next 15, 20 years or beyond. So what is some of the things that we intend to do to take us to the next step? One is we are going to document a practical guideline in a guideline book in building local capacity for peace and harmony. So this program has been already scheduled from the 25th to 27th of November. And we have a group of participants coming together to put up, sharing their experiences, put up a book. It will be facilitated by a very eminent professor who has 20 years of working experience, and we're going to develop this guideline, this book, and we will share with everyone. So to date, we have participants from Germany, from Thailand, from Malaysia, from Kenya, from Scotland, from Wales, from India, from Japan and Singapore, who has confirmed their participation. So if you look at it, we're going to have a wide spread of the experiences and put them together and see how we can come out with this practical guideline for building local capacity for peace and harmony. Now, secondly, we are working towards, right now, the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, we have about 18 representation of the various faiths. So for the next year, we hope to reach out to more, probably add in another 3 or 4 more from the different faiths to come and join us. Like quite rightly pointed out by Bishop Cameron, who's the chair of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, it's very diverse in Toowoomba. The people, the ethnicity, the cultural, the religion is very, very diverse. So we'll try to work towards adding in another 3 more. And secondly, the young people. Now, they are not your next generation. They are part of your generation, the current generation. That's why we're developing them. We're trying to help them. We're trying to mentor them. We're trying to provide them that knowledge, the skills, the passion, the commitment. So for next year, we're going to extend this to another 20% of the young people. Today, we can only bring 2 young because we can't bring too many of them. In fact, there's another 1 or 2, but unfortunately, due to family matters, could not make it. So if you look at, these are young people that we are going to develop them. Then we are also working towards, as what's the master vision is not only about Toowoomba, the master's vision of peace and harmony is across the globe. It's a universe kind of dream and vision that he has. So we are working, in fact, it is quite finalized. We are working with 2 other countries to develop this agenda for next year. And finally, what we hope to achieve by the year 2023, we hope is to establish Toowoomba as a clearinghouse for interfaith and cultural engagement. It's a big thing. It's a very challenging thing. we pray that we can work towards that, because we go with that vision of knowledge is to be shared, information is to be cultivated wherever you can, and involve as many people as possible. So we hope this clearinghouse will be like a resource center that can assist anybody who wants to run programs, wants to know about community cohesion, wants speakers, wants some ideas, and it's not going to be something that we're going to charge them. No, it's be a contribution which Toowoomba hope, and with the support of the current community that I have, the members of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group, the Goodwill, and all the others. So we hope by 2023 we can achieve and establish ourselves as the clearinghouse. So that's the little that I share with you, and I do hope that you will help us. If there is any question or answers that you have, that share with us, because it's all about work in progress. We are not there yet, because we started in 2010. We still got a long way to go. And I think before that, I also like to acknowledge, for some of you, you don't know the Master's vision. I think the Master's vision until today is still acknowledged by the Singapore government. Now, 2 days ago, on Monday, the Master's work was mentioned in the parliamentary sitting in the Singapore Parliament. So usually the Parliament doesn't acknowledge people who has not contributed. They acknowledge the good work, and his name was in mention. And I think we were so proud. Because I also didn't realize that until one of the members of Parliament sent me that clip and say, hey, look at this clip. So I say, what clip is this? He said, it doesn't matter, look at this clip. So I think we are grateful, and I think we acknowledge and that the Master's vision and the Master's sincerity, which I think all of us will journey together. With that, I thank you for giving all my colleagues, my friends, this opportunity to share with you. And we do hope that it's something that you can take away, something that you can also give us back, because we need it. We need more than what we have in terms of doing the good things. Thank you very much. And Ami. Okay. And just one last point. If you like to know a little bit more about Toowoomba, I understand this book is available outside. You can have a copy of that book. This will give you some indication of what's happening. Thank you, Ami Toko.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haniff. Now I hand back to the General Secretary, Toki.